right, guys, Kevin Hale here, on-site recording at Baxter's 942 here in the Highlands. It is August 14, 2018. Several segments tonight. First segment, I've got the very lovely, as you can see, pretty blonde, pretty smile, Lesa Seibert. Lesa, what's up?
Evening, Kevin.
How are you?
I'm good.
I'm good. I'm good too.
Have a bourbon. I'm good.
Are you? How many you got? You keeping score?
This is 2. That's my limit for weeknight. So bourbon with water, but they're separate.
Separate.
So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's bourbon and water, but
separate.
Separate.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. When was the last time we saw each other? It was Equus grand opening, right?
Yeah, it was.
Jared's big thing.
Broke in the back room.
Yeah, we did.
We did.
I thought I was only going to be there for a few minutes just to do my meet and greets. Drive by. Mm-hmm. And then I found out who was in the back room. And
we hang with the cool kids.
We shut it down, didn't we?
We did.
We did.
We actually did shut it down.
We did.
In fact, they were like, would you please leave?
So,
yeah.
Fun night.
Yeah.
Got to meet you and the hubby.
Yes.
Mr. Craig, good guy, who I just saw this past Saturday. Did he give you the details on what this was?
Yes, with the
visual
stripper pole pinata. This
was a video shoot for Brian Fox, directed by the infamous Stephen Clark. You know Stephen?
Yeah.
He's good guy. Well, that's right, because Stephen has done some work with Kevin Manning.
He has.
Saints, and Kevin's another one of our near and dear friends.
Yes, he is.
This is tonight.
And I've known Brian since he started.
Oh, okay.
So it goes way back.
Way back.
Yeah, since he graduated from dental school.
Oh,
and Ryan Murphy came to me and said, "Hey, I'm playing with this new guy. You should check him out." And it was Brian Fox.
Brian Fox, cool.
Yeah.
Brian Fox and his band, The Good Chickens. Let's talk about you.
Oh.
Give us a little bit of the 411 about you. Are you always been a Louisville lady, or is this?
I am.
Really?
Grew up in Taylorsville, in Spencer County, which always confuses people, especially in Louisville, when they ask where'd you go to high school, and I'd go Spencer County, and they're like, and they don't know what to say. So, but close enough to, it's where we hung out when we weren't doing anything. So yeah, I grew up in Spencer County. Did a stint away in Austin, Texas for a couple of years, touring with Willie Nelson.
For real?
For real.
How did you get that gig?
Actually from a boyfriend who's from here, who was touring with him at the time and happened to run into him at the long-forgotten Heartwood Tavern.
Oh.
Am I dating myself? Actually, I wasn't old enough to get in there. Fake IDs will do good for you. Yeah, but so there, and moved down to Austin for a couple of years and hit the road with Willie, and that was a lot of fun. And that was way back in the early 80s.
So when what's that song, Willie and the Boys plus a girl?
Plus a girl.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So
on the road again.
On the road again.
Uh-huh.
That's it. On the road.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was in Austin when they shot the Songwriter movie, so that was cool because Willie actually owned the venue in Austin where they shot that. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty cool. Got to drive his Trans van that Dodge had actually made custom for him, with him in it, over to the movie set. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of memories. Unfortunately, phones didn't exist at the time, so it's all documented right here. Because nobody dared carry a camera around with them. At the time, it's like, no, I know nothing.
That would constitute evidence, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Some potentially incriminating.
Maybe.
You're like the current administration. A lot of pleading. All right.
Yeah. No, nothing. Yeah. It was a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. Met some great people.
So Willie Nelson is on your resume.
On my resume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, and which was interesting to watch how a major tour, national tour like that runs. So it was really interesting and a learning experience. Had to come back to Louisville. Yeah, so came back home. So I tell people that I'm a reformed corporate accountant, which is true. Got my degree in business, with a little bit of focus on accounting and a minor in music. So I am the classically trained soprano. Sang with the Louisville Orchestra Masterworks Chorale.
So music vocally, right?
Music vocally.
Yeah.
Took 9 years of piano growing up, so I can play. Greg's much better than I am. I can play well enough to accompany myself and other people if they so choose, but the voice is the instrument I prefer.
The voice.
Fast forward to, I guess it was 1999. Yeah. Where's the music cue on that?
Yeah. I'll add a little Prince music on the background.
But Greg had a band with the infamous Kevin Manning and Ryan Murphy, and Carl Stuck was around, and Tim Flaherty and the guys.
Real quick, did Kevin Manning, even in 1999, was his hair as cool as it was, as it is now? He knows.
Yes.
I know, Kevin, you're listening.
Hey, Kevin.
The hair, he's got the hair going on.
He does. Yeah, still did.
Still did.
Still does. Yeah.
Good.
But so they were all playing in Room for Emotion back in '99, and all the guys in the band harassed Greg, my husband, who's the keyboard player, composer, extraordinaire, also mainframe programmer for Kroger Corporate. And they're like, look, dude, you're a programmer. Why don't you build us a website? And we'll be one of the only local bands with a website in '99. Yeah.
Well, that's a big deal.
So it's a big deal.
Definitely a big deal.
So Greg, being, the total geek programmer, comes home with the whole Macromedia at the time, before Adobe bought them, suite of Photoshop and Dreamweaver and all that. So we're going to build a website for the band. And I'm like, great, I can draw stick people. This will be interesting. And but I've always been the sci-fi tech nerd, so I love the latest and greatest tech that's out. I'm the sci-fi geek. Give me Star Wars, give me any.
I'm gonna blow your mind here.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Star Wars.
Oh my God!
Never, ever.
We have to have an intervention, Kevin. Come on.
The Star Wars. What else? The Star Trek.
Oh my God! You've never seen Star Trek either?
Well,
I have a phaser in my office. I have
really?
a Doctor Who electronic screwdriver.
I have seen some of the episodes back when I was, as a kid. It was like on Sunday mornings or something here in Louisville with, Shatner.
I used to try to skip church to watch. Yeah. So, The Trouble with Tribbles is my favorite.
That
episode.
was But I really wasn't into it. So I've never seen a Star Wars.
So I've always been that girl, and so I'm like, all right, something cool to learn, So Barnes and Noble became my best friend with stacks of books on, PHP and HTML, and what blows people that work for me today their mind is the fact that I'm like, content management systems. WordPress didn't exist, social media didn't exist, and they're like, God, how old are you? Yeah. And I'm like,
old enough to do a lot of things.
Right. So, you had to hand code all this stuff. So we built a website for the band that I'm proud to say did not have scrolling, flashing yellow text on it.
Real?
Just saying.
Okay.
It's probably still out there on the Wayback Machine if you go look. But, it was cool for the day, and, tied to mp3.com for the tracks.
Which was cool for the back in the day.
Which was cool for the day.
That's a big deal.
That was a big deal.
Really
it hooked. I had it linked up to MP3 to play. You could play on the site, the audio driven from mp3.com.
Yeah.
So, Greg would sit back there and go, make it do this. And of course, being a mainframe programmer, not so much web, he knew what he wanted it to do, but not quite sure how to make it do it. So we figured it out, launched the website, and then actually, thanks to Kevin Manning's now wife, Lana.
The ravish, I would, the ravishing, the White Russian.
Called me up about 3 months later and said, "Hey, I need your help." And I'm like, "With what?" And she goes, "Well, we have this client in Covington who's a manufacturing company, and they need a website. And we are fed up with the company we're working with that's doing web stuff for us. They will remain anonymous. I'll be good." But she goes, "We want you to do it." I'm like, "I don't have a company." And she goes, "Oh, you know how, start one." And I grew up in my mom and dad's business in Taylorsville, and then actually prior to that had owned 2 restaurants, one at the golf course in Taylorsville and one at Brightleaf Resort in Harrodsburg. So had dabbled in entrepreneurship and grew up with it. So I'm like, "Yeah, I'll call you back tomorrow." Mm-hmm. So Greg came home and we talked about it. And it's like, "Well, we've got everything you need. We've got computer, we've got the software. Why not?" And I'm like, "All right." So called her back and I said, "All right, fine." And sent my paperwork in for the state and set the company up and did the website for that client. And Lana's company Go Global was really good to us, and so over the course of the next year we had about 8 clients that were all referrals from that group. Mm-hmm. And then it came to a point where it was like, all right, so I'm working 45, 50 hours a week at Kroger as corporate accountant, and then I'm working another 30, 40, doing all this website stuff. Mm-hmm. And Greg and I were talking, it's like, all right, you're probably going to have to make a choice. Yeah. But at the time Kroger had pension, Kroger had benefits. It's like, wow, luckily I was vested in the pension, so it's like, do I really want to walk away from this? And it's like, Greg's like, "Well, you can always come back if it doesn't work." Mm-hmm. And that was 18 years ago come October. And
it's still in the rear view mirror?
And it's still in the rear view mirror. And every time I think about going back to work for corporate, I work just a little bit harder.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, that client, that very first client I did a project for last fall. So 18 years later.
You're still with that same client?
Still with that same client who just sold their company and the owners retired. Mm-hmm. And we'd still be working with them had they not sold it. Yeah. So.
I mean,
it's
that's tooting your horn though. 18 years.
Yeah. So that's Xstreme Media, and so Xstreme is still around, and Xstreme's focus is really small to medium-sized companies, nonprofits.
Well, what's the definition of small to medium?
Yeah, so small budgets. Let me give you budgets. So budgets of probably $5,000 to $20,000 at most. Yeah, but more in the 5 to 10, 15 range. They don't really need something customize a nice template for them, because there's so many good templates out there now. Just here's my logo, here's my colors, customize it to the functionality I need and the look that I want, and maybe I have had a photo shoot done and throw in some of my photos and make it work for my company, and that's what they need, along with maybe some digital marketing to help support that. But that's pretty much its focus for and there's a lot of those companies out there.
Absolutely.
Xstreme was one of those companies, when it started, that just don't have the big budgets, and they can't go to the big agencies because they can't afford them and they won't talk to them. So it's all about, understanding what these people need, and that they do need something that's nice, because anymore that's your storefront. I mean, people don't drive by and see your storefront anymore. That is the online storefront is your storefront.
Exactly.
And if it doesn't say what it needs to say, to somebody who's looking, they'll go somewhere else. So really helping them make something that they can be proud of and that functions well within their budget. So did that for 13 years, brought my now son-in-law on, 11 years ago.
Really?
He happened to be over at the house when my daughter was in high school, and he was at U of L, and I heard them talking, and he was complaining that nobody would give him a job doing what he was studying, which was graphic design. And I was like, oh, well,
just fell in your lap.
What's the wrong? Literally. And he goes, well, they tell me I have to have a portfolio to get a job, but, you know, how do you get a portfolio if nobody will give you a job?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I might have some work for you. So
I've got connections.
I might know some people.
Yeah.
And so kind of I guess the premise for Xstreme was, you know, it was Greg and I, and then of course Lance when he came on, but, you know, we worked with a lot of freelancers to do a lot of the design work. We did the programming in-house, but a lot of the design work we would farm out. We did all the digital marketing stuff in-house. Of course, there wasn't a whole lot to do back then until, you know, mid-2000s when social media came along and changed the game. And,
Really? Yeah, it has.
But so Lance, you know, I told him, I said, well, you know, if you're interested, you know, I've got this client who needs a logo. I've already given it to my two, you know, outsourced designers, but, you know, here, you do it. Well, the client picked his. And I'm like, oh, maybe something there.
We're on to something.
And so he came to work part-time, and that lasted about 4 months or so. And then he came on 4 days a week, and that lasted another like 3 months. And then he was full-time, and, you know, his whole point was design. And so then he was like, so I want to learn more about this programming stuff. And so he would watch what I would do. I would show him some stuff. Greg showed him some stuff. And then he took it upon himself to go out to php.com and HTML and learn all this stuff on his own.
For him.
And, you know, he's like, at a point, he got to the point where, you know, we're going to have to find designers to do stuff. And I'm like, why? He goes, because if one more person tells me to make the logo bigger, or I just don't feel this, I'm going to hit them.
And is that where you had to establish an HR?
Yeah, right. It was HR.
Anger management.
So, fast forward to 2013, and Lance and I were talking. We had some larger clients at the time who are still clients, by the way. Trilogy Health Services, Flavor Man, Moonshine University, that do the cool bourbon classes and all that stuff, and make all types of beverages for people that are want to make a beverage. But they were looking for more than what we offered in-house, but I knew that they were looking for us to offer those services in-house instead of outsourcing it.
Right.
So fall of 2013, we were deciding, so how do we approach this? And it just happened to be that a guy I knew, Pip Pullen, who was, I guess, creative director, account planner at Red 7E, which was the big agency at the time, reached out and he goes, hey, I'm leaving Red 7E. I'd love to have a chat. Like, great. Because I figured, he was going to set up his own firm. He would be a perfect person to partner with to do that front-end branding, because Pip's amazing at branding. He did the Possibility City brand and some other stuff around town that people would know. And I'm like, this is perfect. And so over the course of the next couple of weeks, we agreed to agree it makes sense. He goes, Xstreme's got a really good reputation. You've got a great base in digital, and that's where everything's headed, is digital. Mm-hmm. And the agencies don't understand how to apply brand to digital. It's all about, let's do the digital and then we'll just shove the brand into it. Instead of starting with the brand and then letting the brand dictate what happens on digital. And I'm like, that's great. I can't afford to hire you. And so we talked, and to his, I guess, thanks to Pip, he took a 50% pay cut to come work for me.
Wow.
And that was in November of 13. And pretty quickly we realized that what we wanted to do fit a certain type of client, but not the bulk of the Xstreme clients, right? Because they just didn't need custom brand work. They didn't need that level of service. They were fine with what they had. So within 3.5 weeks, we decided to start a new company and spun up Mightily and bought the domain name, built the website, did the collateral material, designed the logo, designed the website, and launched it the second week of December of 2013. And there were the 5 of us then, and there are now 31 of us now. Almost 5 years coming up.
Wow, yeah.
And it's been a fun ride. Xstreme still does what it does. We're getting ready to launch a new website for Valari Restaurant.
Cool.
It'll be coming out probably end of the month, 1st of September. Another one for HRS Hotels Group that'll be coming out this fall. So still those clients out there that need what we do on that side. But the Mightily side is a whole different ballgame. It is totally, we call ourselves the brand first ad agency. And, digital's our focus. We do everything that a traditional agency does except for PR. So we start with brand, and then websites are kind of the key to drive everything. But digital marketing, social media, traditional marketing, graphic design, and so one of our latest projects that we just rolled out yesterday morning was for Metro United Way, and they came to us, and Teresa Reno Weber, who's the CEO, I've been friends with her for quite some time when she was at the city, and when she took this job, she said, Lesa, I really want to figure out how to get you all on board and help us communicate differently. And that's kind of Mightily's niche, is that we really take a hard look at who you are and what your brand is. And your brand is not your logo and your colors. Your brand is what is the message that you need to communicate to people, and how you communicate it to people, and how it resonates with people. And we always tell people and I were having
So it's in advertising. So that's okay.
Well, and it's we were having the conversation earlier about the Mac versus PC. It's why you spend $1,000 more on a Mac. It's not a better machine.
Right.
It's just a Mac. It's the same, with an iPhone versus an Android. Android's a better phone, but people will pay more and stand in line to get that new iPhone that's coming out. It has nothing to do with the product. It's all about the brand and your relationship with the brand. It's like, I got the new iPhone. So it's helping people figure out what that is for their company.
I mean, I still choose Folgers over Starbucks. Just
Folger, it's funny. We have a Keurig at the office, and so we buy all the different and literally, there are 3 people at the office that want Folgers pods. I'm like, seriously, Folgers, really? Yeah, but yeah.
So you really can tell the difference between Starbucks and Folgers.
Oh, well.
So you're a Starbucks?
No, well, actually, I am a Vent Heine Brothers fan.
Oh, okay. Let's give them some
shout out to Mike Mays and Tony Lavinson and Chuck Schnatter. I am, but Starbucks is okay. But not Folgers. Not Folgers, really?
No, but it's just that I still struggle, paying $5, $6, $7
for a coffee.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah. Hence why we have the little pods you can put in the machine and bring your own coffee and make your own, brew it at home.
There you go.
But the Metro United Way is really exciting because their task to us was make us the best United Way site in the nation. And the gold standard at the time, or I guess still until this one hits the airwaves across the nation, it was Dallas and I think it was Philadelphia were the 2 that people really liked. And so we took a look at those, but really, help them. I think one of the things we do really well, and a shout out to Rich Barber, who is our senior copywriter. We took a site that was, 4,000 pages and distilled it down to 2 main links on the homepage.
4,000 pages.
Yeah, and so it's what we fight for. So information about what they do and how they do it and who they do it for. And then the other link is join the fight. How can you become part of it? How can you help out? And then the main link that's always present on there is to their 211 resources, which is all about, resources they provide for people who need help and need assistance right now. So it was like, let's get rid of all the clutter and let's just, distill it down to what people really need to know about you. And of course, there's always a donate button at the top, where they can get to that and give back. And, Metro's changing their focus in the fact of, it's not always about corporate giving, but it's all about how do we get the community involved? How do we get small business involved? Because nobody's ever really thought about that. It's always been, oh yeah, I work for Kroger's, so this is part of my check that, it goes out every week. But, how do other people get involved with them? So check out metrounitedway.org. Give us some shout out on Facebook.
Showing off
their
work. Yeah.
Let us know what you think about it, because it's totally different from anything you've seen out there. The new one, the one that will be coming out soon, are two, and I'll give a shout out to. And not that we're on the nonprofit side, but American Printing House for the Blind. We did a brand refresh and getting ready to launch a whole new website and campaign for them, to kind of reintroduce them to the community. They're 160 years old this year, and people have no idea what they do. And printing's only about 18% of what they do.
Really?
They are an R&D firm. They were at CES this year, had a booth at CES that Stevie Wonder came up to and was checking out their products, which they have on video, which is really cool. And it's all about accessibility for people not that are just blind, but people that have visual impairments of some sort. So seniors that have failing sight. One of my developers has sight issues and could use some of the things that they offer.
Talking about a huge endorsement.
Right.
For someone.
Right. I know, right? To have Stevie, checking out the booth, and actually apparently came back the second day.
Oh, cool.
To check out one of the pieces of equipment that they had there. So it was really cool. But they do some great work, and so they're coming out. And the most fun one that's actually a global campaign that we're going to be launching here in September. Is for a little company called Seagate, which I'm sure you've heard of, who are the largest manufacturer of hard drives in the world.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, who bought Maxtor back in the day, and so they're based out of we have a Silicon Valley client.
Really do.
We really have a Silicon Valley client.
That's a big flipping deal.
It's a big deal, and people go, "How the hell did you get that?" Well, it's one of those. It's who you know. Yeah. So one of our developers happened to work back in the day at Best Buy Geek Squad City out in Shep. And one of the managers out there was a good friend of his who left and was hired out by Seagate. Of course, Seagate they did a lot of work with since they sold their products. And so they kept in touch over the years. They became friends and kept in touch. And so it happened to be when Paul, who runs, this is for the data recovery division of Seagate. He was in his office, and Paul that runs it had all this stuff up on a whiteboard, and Todd was like, "So what are you doing?" And he goes, "Well, we're toying with the fact we really need to rebrand this because it's a disconnect with Seagate Data Recovery. People think they can only send in Seagate products. Well, you can send us your iPhone, your laptop, your whatever, and we'll recover the data for you." Speaking of, no, son-in-law's calling. Yeah, did he hear me?
Is that work?
Work. Yeah, that's work. He's like, "Oh, dude, I know who can help you."
Do you need to pick that up?
Yeah, no, I really don't.
Okay.
Yeah. And he can wait. Yeah. And so he's like, "Dude." And so he walks over to his computer, and Paul's like, "What are you doing?" And he goes, starts typing. He goes, "Seriously, what are you doing?" He goes, "Come here, call these people." And he pulled up our website. And it was just because he and Chris had been friends for all these years and had kept in touch. He goes, "They do what you need." And they flew out. We met with them, in June of last year. In August, we had a signed contract to do a rebrand, new website, ongoing marketing for a new brand that we'll be launching. And I'll give the first hint to it here. It's going to launch probably the 1st of October, and it will be called Pixelate. So it's all about saving your data, and and they will have some plans where you can do all that. So it's going to be a really cool product, and it will be a global launch for them, from Asia to Europe to South America and all points beyond.
Gotcha.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. But so we get to do a lot of fun clients, a lot of local nonprofits. I mean, we're really, passionate in the city, women and children's issues, education, healthcare, are really important issues to us. So we try to, Louisville Rescue Mission, we rolled out a new rebrand for them. Now they're called Recenter. And so, to Home of the Innocents, to Brown Foreman is a client. So, it runs the gamut. Just brought on, and I'll give a shout out to Frost Brown Todd, who is a new client of ours as of last week. So it's all about people who are looking, they're tired of the same old, and want a different way to communicate who they are and what they are.
Real quick, of your clientele, how many are not local? Percentage?
Probably only about 15%. Okay. Hogan Lovell's law firm out of D.C. Is a client, and they're a really great client, and we got them thanks to the mayor's office when they moved here and opened an office here. But now we're one of 2 ad agencies who gets to work with them globally, and they're the 14th largest law firm in the world, based out of DC and London, England. And with Seagate, we've got a couple others, MTM Model and Talent Management out of Chicago and Columbus, Centerstone out of Nashville, Panoston out of Bowling Green, which is really quasi-local, but a few, and so we can do that. That's the nice thing about the business that we have, is we can do business with anybody, anywhere. With technology these days, you can work with anybody.
I'm looking at your the Mightily.com site, and I'm looking at how many people do you have staff?
31. 31, and right now 3,000 square feet. So you do the math. It's like sardines in a can. It's like sardines in a can.
Is it?
Yeah. No, but we're excited because hopefully.
Bunk beds.
Bunk desk. Actually, Rich Barber, who's our copywriter, he's like, we should do bunk desks. Yeah. And but come October, probably end of October-ish, given how contractors work, we will be moving to Whiskey Row. So our neighbor to the right will be Old Forester. Woohoo! Our neighbor to the left will be the new Moxie and Distill Hotels. And a shout out to Maud and Sterling that own Hell or High Water, which is the speakeasy that is in our basement. So it happens to be that Maud and Sterling's dad and I serve on the airport board together. So I had some inside info on that before it opened, but it's an amazing place if you want to go check it out.
How active are you out in the community outside of, just...
a lot. And
to the point where Greg complains.
He doesn't complain. He's like, where are we going tonight?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
How do I dress up tonight?
Exactly. To his benefit, he has never complained, and it all kind of goes back to my dad. Growing up in Spencer County, my dad was on city council for 51 years straight. So I grew up with all of that. People calling the house at 3 a.m. going, "Hey, my water doesn't work," or all that. But Dad's main thing was, give back to the community that supports you and your business, and try to make it better if you can. So that's always kind of been my kind of mantra is, if a nonprofit asks, or if somebody asks, I try to do it if I can. So, thanks to Mary Ellen and the mayor, I am on the airport board, and just was elected secretary treasurer of the airport board for a new term through 2021, and which has allowed me to actually serve on a national board.
No outside country infiltrated that election, to get you.
To get me.
Just checking,
no.
Make sure we're all playing on the same playing field here.
But that has been really interesting, and it's a whole different way of looking at business and economic development for our city. That really is the front door for our city. It's where the bulk of people come in, and where that's their first experience with Louisville.
So you're a player in all that.
Yeah. And besides that, that's afforded me to be able to be on a national airport board. And then the rest of the stuff locally is all about entrepreneurship. Right. I did some consulting back in the day with the Small Business Development Center, and got to know the peeps that be. And so we all still are connected. I was on the advisory board that helped open the new Entrepreneur Center 1804. And then I currently sit on the Enterprise Court board and the Venture Connectors board, co-marketing chair for Venture Connectors. Just rolled off the Women for Women board, orchestra board. I know I'm forgetting some, and forgive me, but Idea Festival, hopefully we'll get that back up and running. And the newest member of the Insider Louisville Board of Directors. So that should be interesting. And let's see what we can do with that. But, hey, it's all about...
Who's your cabana boy? You got one of those?
Yeah, right. No, not yet.
Okay.
I'm still looking for those applications online. No, but... no, I think that's going to be really interesting because, with media the way it is today, and as some would say, fake news. We'll go there later. Yeah. With media the way it is now, it's like where can get something that's really unbiased, but also unbiased by paid advertising so much. And, that's actually nonprofit now. So most people probably know that Insider went nonprofit. So it's a whole new way to approach media. So I'm hoping, be able to help, format some of that and change those perceptions and thought processes around how we consume and communicate, news.
It's tough, Lisa.
It's really tough. Trust me.
I do trust you.
Well, here's one that for you, which most people probably saw over the last month, that we are very proud of at Mightily, were the Chris and Jessica billboards, and I'm sure you probably saw the news, and people were like,
Were you
it's
involved?
Chris Ogden. We did that.
Really?
Yeah.
did
So
not
that
know
was
that.
kudos to our creative director, Rankin Maypother, who came up with the idea. And Chris and Jessica actually work for us. So Jessica is the account exec on the ballet account, and Chris is the one who brought us Seagate and is one of our developers. And they are married and work for us. So they were going, we need somebody, we need names. And they're like, just use Chris and Jessica. Okay, fine.
Genius.
And so it was so funny. It was the top. Outfront Media called us and went, what the hell? We have all these people calling us because there was no other word on there. And so they called Outfront. But what amazed me is that somebody would see a billboard and call Outfront to find out what it was about.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have not thought to do that, but that's just me, but
It generated a lot of buzz.
a ton of buzz. I mean, they thought it was DRB. They thought it was some, attorney, that was doing divorces, so it was, kudos to the ballet for letting us run with that and do something totally off the cuff.
That's cool.
And totally different just to start. And it's what it's all about in marketing, starting a conversation and getting people talking. And they're like, my God, did you see that? And we actually had rolled out the reveal of the billboards 3 days early because we thought somebody was actually going to let the cat out of the bag.
Gotcha.
So we would have kept it going a little bit longer, but we figured we better roll them out before somebody beat us to the punch. But I mean, Outfront National reached out and they said that was one of the best campaigns they have ever had in their history. So they've done a case study on it and want to publish that. So it was pretty cool. It was a lot of fun, but that's the fun part when you get good clients that really let you be creative and let you help them communicate what they're trying to communicate, but differently. And that's what we hear from all our clients is we don't want to be like all our other competitors. How do we cut through the clutter?
Right.
How do we make a difference? How do we get a different message out to where people actually pay attention? Because there's so much crap out there right now. It's how do you stand out? And that's what we hope to help clients do is help them stand out.
Sounds like you are, dear. Yeah. Killing it. Social
and all thanks to music.
Yeah, there you go. That Willie Nelson back in the
the RFE back in the day, is where this all started.
Share social media. Where can people connect with you guys?
Sure.
Not just your.
So Xstreme Media, which is spelled different, XSTREMEMEDIA.com. And the same on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. And then Mightily is mightily.com, MIGHTILY, which is a little different. So we're like, okay, an adverb is a company name. But LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Be Mightily is our handles. So reach out, show us some love. We'll show some back.
Good. Anything short term you got coming up can you share or want to share?
Oh, well, like I said, the new APH website's coming out. The new Pixelate, that's a scoop. Nobody knows about that yet. So Pixelate coming out for Seagate will be a huge piece for us. What else is going on?
Anything you need to tell Greg where he's going to the next dinner he's going to be attending?
Let's see, the next dinner's at Valari tomorrow night, actually.
Oh, see, there you go.
See, for the heirloom tomato. He's not even paying attention. Yeah. But for the heirloom tomato dinner, courtesy of Josh Moore. So that should be amazing. Who's new client? Woohoo! So I have to shout out to Josh.
Good stuff.
So lots of stuff going on. Just check out Facebook. I think we're launching 5 sites this week. One for another client, speaking of ones out of town, Santa Barbara, California, HG Data. They do technographics. So
you infiltrating the whole, the California West Coast.
Hey, I'm trying. A little West Coast love over there. Cool. So now we have Santa Barbara and Silicon Valley. So we just need to fill it in between.
There you go.
But so that's a cool site that launched. Our friends here locally that also rolled out this month, HR affiliates, which are outsourced HR. I'm trying to think who else is rolling out this. And coming out this month, which you might have seen the TV commercial with the dog sticking his head out the window for Park Community Federal Credit Union.
Oh, yeah.
That was us. And the new site will be rolling here shortly.
I think maybe the next time you come on this podcast, you're going to be, instead of talking about the people or the businesses that you're working with, you're going to start pointing out who's next.
Who's next? Yeah. You never know. You never know.
Lesa Seibert came on and killed it. Thanks,
Thank you,
Lesa.
Kevin.
Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's hopefully we'll all get to hang out another night soon.
Very soon.
So with the Mannings.
Love those
guys.
Yeah, and all those other peeps.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff. Thanks, Lesa.
Oh, thank you.
Guys, Kevin Hale here at Baxter 942 in the Highlands. On-site recording, it is August 14, 2018. People in the Louisville area, specifically the Highlands, knows that there's a huge event in August. It's generally I want to say it's the last Saturday in August. This year, it will be August 25th. It is the Louisville Zombie Walk, and if we're going to talk Louisville Zombie Walk, then our show, as we normally do, because we spare no expense, we go get the head zombie, Jason Adams. Jason.
Yes, sir.
What's up, man?
How much, dude?
I want to say this is probably maybe the third time around you've done the show with me. Bardstown Face to Face. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, nice to meet you, man.
The Louisville Zombie Walk. It is a big deal here. I mean, it is an annual big deal, and it keeps getting bigger, better. 14th year. Did I hear it right?
That's right.
14th year. Before we start talking about, because I don't know the whole cliche about where did it all. Give us a little bit of background. What was the mindset on creating this?
So, obviously, bringing all the zombies together that you could possibly get in one spot is what we do. And we try to keep the event family friendly, dog friendly. I mean, we have every demographic you can imagine for this event. So it's not only become a citywide event, but it's also become regional and nationally and internationally known. It is the largest zombie walk in the world. So last year, last year we brought in about 42,000 zombies. So this year we're expecting about 45, and it's quite crazy down there if you've ever been there.
These zombies, I'm guessing, when they come in, they're doing their own thing. They're doing their own makeup. They're of those 40 something, whatever.
Right.
Is there a percentage or an amount of them that you actually are involved with making sure that this look is going to be what's
sufficient, right?
Yeah.
Well, we do offer a lot of things. If you go to the website, LouisvilleZombieWalk.com, you can actually get professionally zombied up by 4 of the local haunted attractions. So like Haunted Hotel, the Devil's Attic, Asylum Scream Park, and then Grim Trail. So you can actually go in and get movie quality style makeup. Majority of the folks, I'd say 80%, 90% of the folks actually do it themselves. And that's the fun part, is really coming up with, what kind of zombie do I want to be this year? I mean, do I want to be a traditional zombie? Do I, take a spin and make it be an Elton John zombie? Whatever, everybody puts their own spin on it.
Elton John. I don't know if might not have been one of my first choices.
Yeah, you got to follow Yellow Brick Road or the Red Brick Road as far as zombies go, right?
Yeah, Elton John. Trump zombie. Will there be?
Oh God, I'm sure there'll be plenty of them there. Yeah, most of them will be run over by cars.
The fake time.
But,
so just culmination. So this will be the 14th year. Give us a quick year 1 through 13. How it started with this idea. Just kind of give us the 13-year recap.
Sure. I mean, it started as basically a flash mob of a small group of folks, and over the years it's grown tremendously. Specifically in probably the last 5-6 years, it's gotten huge. And so to accommodate that, we have to go through a lot of rules and regulations of the city, which folks don't realize. Just security alone is quite intense for this event, as well as planning with the city. So it's gotten to be a very, very significant event, and the city recognizes that. It also gives back to the community, because all the businesses on Bardstown Rd, they all benefit. So we try to support the community locally, and in doing so, we've taken it from where it was a couple bands playing on the street to now we have actually a full-fledged festival. So not only do we have bands playing, we have a costume contest, we have sideshow acts, we've got a DJ this year, we've got a zombie zombie car show theme going on, we've got food trucks, we've got a market area, we've added a midway area with zombie-themed games for the kids. So we've tried to really encompass everything we can get.
So going in again, the 14th year, what is the stretch of the Highlands that you all will infiltrate and hijack?
Oh gosh, I mean, people come from all corners of the Highlands streets. I mean, it's gotten so large as far as nationally goes. I constantly am getting bombarded. Where should I stay in my hotel? I mean, it's totally a different ballgame than it was back in the obviously first 5-6 years. So it's having an impact on the city itself and the Highlands, obviously.
Well, how long did you take to pull this off?
I started in January, so January is early, and then March, April we start working with vendors and getting all that put together, and then all the way up to the very end. But usually I try to plan ahead, so everything's pretty much buttoned up.
Right. How many people are on your team?
So I've got about 30 folks that volunteer regularly that help out with the event, and without them I couldn't make it happen. I've got a couple of team managers that help out as well to really make the event come to life.
Now, the Devil's Attic.
Right.
What's up?
So, we also own the Devil's Attic Haunted Attraction. That's where I pull my ghouls and goblins that help out with this event. And, it's a great tie-in with the event. As far as my history goes, that's where I came from, is the zombie, the George Romero films, the Nosferatus, and then bridging over to the 70s and 80s, you get some of the good horror films. in that era, the classic Texas Chainsaw Massacres, those kind of things. So it's kind of in my blood to run this thing and make it even better and bigger and better than it's been before. That's right.
But getting back to the zombie, the Louisville Zombie Walk, it is 25th, August 25th. Starting time?
8:29.
8:29. And why is it 8:29?
Well, traditionally the event was ran on 8:29, and really because of the city's involvement in the magnitude of the event, we had to go to the last Saturday of every month because the city really during the week was very difficult to get them to shut streets down. So that was the significance of that. So we kind of kept it that way just for tradition.
Always the last Saturday.
Always the last Saturday at 8:29. When you hear the sirens go off down near Mid-City Mall, you'll know the zombies are coming.
They're like an apocalyptic kind of.
Oh yeah, no, if you've never been, man, it's incredible. I mean, it's quite the sight.
For people that haven't been, especially with kids, what would be some recommendations? I mean, you mentioned the midway you got going on. Is it to the point where, and I know you're trying to, this is a family-friendly thing, but is it, do kids, has there been a time when kids are freaking out there? It's a little overwhelming for them?
Sure, I mean, if they're not used to that atmosphere.
Parental judgment.
No, it is parental judgment. I mean, my kids, I've got 2 kids myself, and they've been raised watching horror movies. So for them, they think it's just cool as hell. But, some of the regular run-of-the-mill kids, you got to be a little more cautious on it. But the big thing I would say is safety as far as there's a massive amount of people. Make sure you're keeping the kids close. Because being a parent, that's the last thing you want to do is lose your kid in a massive amount of zombies. We actually had a kid 2 years ago that got lost. He got separated from their parent. And they were hysterical. But we actually...
Because if they're lost and all they see is
a sea of zombies everywhere.
Exactly.
And, it's like, well, that's kind of funny, but it's not, right? As a parent, you go, oh man, that poor kid was probably terrified.
Several sleepless nights.
Oh my gosh.
Night terrors and all this stuff. I have to tell you talk about your kids growing up and watching horror movies. There's still a funny story on a Thanksgiving morning. We go out, this is my family going back in the day, go to Thanksgiving dinner, and my youngest, who was 3 or 4 at the time, dressed up, looking nice, and talking to the family, and they were talking about, they asked how she was doing, and what had she been doing this morning. She's like, well, I was watching a movie with my dad. And they're like, oh yeah, Jack, what was the movie? And straight face. Oh boy. And for a 3-year-old, flat out said, help. The family is looking at me like,
what are you doing? Well, him and my kid to get along real well.
Exactly. And, she was watching Predator the other day too. But anyways, okay. What's, for this year, what's things that will be different, new, improved?
Well, I'll tell you the biggest thing that we've done is, in order to accommodate the crowd, we've doubled the size of the footprint of the block party zone. So the area between Allen Avenue and Grinstead, we used about half of that last year. That's what we've done previously. So we've doubled that size. And within that, we've obviously added, like I said, the market. We've got a huge market area that we've expanded from last year. It's called the Market for Mischief. It's all folks that are local businesses that have come up with their own zombie wares that are custom made. So you can buy those there. You can't get them anywhere else. So that's a place to go. We've added a DJ at one end in comparison to the bands. We have bands at one side, which is closer to Grinstead, and Holland will have a DJ. DJ Skyfire is his name. He's going to be there rocking it out. We've added more food vendors this year, which is going to be nice. And then we've added the Midway area. So we've expanded all that. We also team up with Louisville Halloween, and they're a huge help to us for our costume contest, which will happen in front of Hopcat. And the folks that enter into the costume actually get a nice little kicker. They get a VIP invitation to a party at the top of Hopcat. So that's kind of cool. They just enter, they can come hang out and look over the sea of zombies up there. So, but that's pretty much it. That whole area is we team up with Hale and Taproom. There's a huge help in this whole thing, and they help make it happen.
So it kicks off, I guess, in Mid-City Mall, or that's
Mid-City Mall,
yeah, and then it goes how far over?
All the way down to Highland Avenue. So between Grinstead and Highlands, where the block party zone starts, and then it really goes to Eastern Parkway, but most everybody culminates in Mid-City. And then that's where we launch it. We actually bring in our icon character from the Devil's Icon attraction, the Devil, and he actually flips the bell to the sirens to get everything started at 8:29. There's a big LED clock. Yeah, he does a hell of a job. No pun intended. Actually, pun intended.
You touched on in excess of 40,000 zombies, right?
Right. Well, that's total attendance. So
yeah. Oh, so you're basing that on
total attendance. Yeah, zombies. It's hard to gauge. We've got a lot of spectators. We've got a lot of zombie infiltrators, I guess you could call them. All dressed in black. Those guys. So we've got a lot of those guys. And one of the things we've actually had to do because of the size of the event and the involvement of the cities, we've had to cut down on folks bringing in, toy guns. So with the nature of how things is nowadays, we really have to do that. Right.
I thought of that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because a little bit of trigger happy.
We've got to keep it safe for everybody.
Absolutely.
So, that's one thing we've had to change this year: machetes and then chainsaws, which sounds kind of funny, but
Is there any plans on actually bringing Rob's on?
Oh man, dude, that'd be awesome. That'd be the all-in, brings Rob Zombie in. That's actually been in the back of my head for a couple of years, and you never know, man. Down the road, it could happen.
Well, I'm curious. I don't know if how detailed you can get. I'm curious, how much do the businesses? How much are they benefiting? How much are they patting you on the back for this event? Not that your ego or anything needs to be strong.
No, I'll be honest with you. We've got, I got a marketing team. We go through and talk to a lot of the businesses up and down Bardstown Rd to look for support for the event. And I've got 6 core bars that are continuous supporters because most of them benefit from the whole event. But I mean, we look at the Back Door, we look at Chill Bar, Nowhere Bar, obviously Hale Taproom. Hopcat joined this last year. We've got quite a few folks that help out with the event, but in general, it's
but also the family friendly venues. I guess Wicks is too far down.
Right, Wicks.
Yeah, but with BW3s is down there, just more where families can
hang out. Right. No, they're all happy to support it, but as far as helping the event actually take place and being providing financial support as far as the sponsor goes, those guys, hats off to them. Without those guys, I mean, I'm telling you, this thing would not happen.
That was nice segue because I'm curious to know how much sponsorship are you relying on? How much?
Oh yeah, I mean it's
pull this off.
Without the sponsors, and then we've got I had to bring in liquor and bar sponsors, beer sponsors the last couple of years. Without those guys, I mean the event wouldn't happen. And it's fortunate that I do have a haunted attraction, so it ties well in with that. So to be honest with you, that actually helps pay for this event because without that, the event would have probably been going 3 years ago.
To your credit, 40,000 people speak volumes to the potential sponsors and the benefits of this event.
Right. Cool.
What's left for you to do? Because we're up at the 14th. You got roughly 11 days before this happens. So
everything's pretty much planned, man. Everything's been set. D-Day hits, and then we start at about 10:30 that morning. We don't stop till about 4 o'clock. That's next morning. Right after the event's over, then we can take a sigh of relief, and then we've got 3 weeks and we open to the haunted house.
Well, my next thing is that you do have a haunted house. Give us that. What's that all about?
So the haunted house, the Devil's Attic. This is our 9th season, so we've been here for 9 years, and it's a labor of love. It kind of ties into the whole horror films. And when I created this thing, I wanted to bring traditional horror movies and classic Halloween together in a very theatrical experience, and that's what we've done. So last year alone, I think we received 13 national recognized awards within the haunted industry. We're in the top ranked 50 in the United States. So we've grown tremendously with the attraction, and continue to. It's definitely a very unique experience. Not for the faint of heart, obviously, but
there's a lot of people, me included, that I'm into all that. I want to be scared or.
No, we'll bring you back. We'll get you scared.
Yeah, I like that.
We'll definitely take care of you.
All right, very cool. Social media. Where can everybody connect with you guys and get more info on the Zombie Walk?
So Facebook, obviously, Louisville Zombie Walk, and then LouisvilleZombieWalk.com. You can, if you hit the website, we do have a free stuff tab that you can sign up for. It's very cool. We do drawings twice a week. You get free T-shirts, get you free haunted house tickets. I don't know where the haunt would be. You get free tickets too. Maybe the Devil's Attic. But anyways, and then we also give swag away, obviously at the event itself. But those are where you can connect and see what's going on as far as entertainment goes.
Very cool. Again, Chase, I've heard nothing but great things about this event, and I'm sure this time around success will be there. Hopefully, I'm curious. Have you ever? Has the weather always seemed to cooperate?
Since we've been running it, yes. I will say in the past there's been one rain year out of the 14 years.
How much does that really?
It does dampen the crowd, but people are hardcore zombies out here, man. They will still come out and have a hell of a time. I mean, they'll be there. So knock on wood, we forgo the rain this year.
All right, Louisville Zombie Walk, August 25th. Starting time, the apocalyptic horn sirens will go off at 8:29.
Yes, sir.
It's the mall, Jason Attic.
Thanks for having me on, brother. Yeah.
We are. Last segment of the night, guys, here at Baxter's 942 in the Highlands of Louisville, Kentucky. It is our on-site remote on August 14, 2018. Apparently, it's the day before the infamous sandstorm that's going to hit us sometime tomorrow or this week.
Infamous sandstorm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Storm
bloody
century.
sense, yeah.
It's bloody sandstorm.
The apocalyptic.
On that?
Yeah, I don't know. We
you found no information.
Our remote meteorologist, the shooting from a lip meteorologist that's on staff, is going to find that out. But until then, hey, this is the last segment of the night where we talk trending news. A lot of it is kind of steers towards politics.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But pop culture, maybe some sports, chicks.
Yeah.
More importantly,
we like women.
What do us guys get to? Yeah. All right. Tonight, I got a round table. We got my man Stewart Askew, who's back.
How's it going, audience? Constant contributor back in the house.
Welcome
He's
home.
back in, and we got two newbies here.
Yeah, we do.
Give us a little background. Introduce yourself. Adam.
My Adam Rone, just a former bartender from this this guy's
We both work together
relevance?
at a great establishment. He's an entrepreneur now. A philanthropist.
Entrepreneur, yeah.
And philanthropist.
I never really thought of it like that.
There you are.
I
just gave you an intro.
I'm out of the bar industry after 16 years, but at the same time, I got a lot of knowledge on some stupid stuff that you would not expect.
And over here we have our good friend
Casey Allen. I've known Kevin for a long time. I've known you for a long time, mostly
But
from the
yeah.
other side of the bar. I've never actually been paid as a bartender. I just mostly pay the power bill at some
Thank
bars.
you in
The
advance.
only reason I became a bartender at the establishment we had was to get some money back. That was my whole plan, and I'm still in the hole, unfortunately. Years of alcoholism will do that to you.
Before we get started,
All right.
you got some funny stuff coming up, right?
Yeah, I do have some funny stuff. To those that don't recognize me or like maybe have just seen me kind of fleetingly when I'm not talking about being a comedian, I am a stand-up comedian. And this Saturday in J-Town, Louisville, Kentucky, J-Town, we have a gig going on at Mac's Dough House. I will be one of the comics that will be performing that night. We also have some very, very funny people. Wade Ridley will be there. Danny Hucks. Nathaniel Potts Wells will be there. Sarah, how does she pronounce her last name, Kev?
You're gonna make me look again.
It's Butryn, and I will mess up the pronunciation in a heartbeat. And she's a very funny woman. And also a mate named Josh Gibson. Butryn.
Yeah.
Sarah Butryn will be there. So it's going to be me and like 5 really funny people. You should come check it out if you have the time. Only a $5 cover. Show starts in and around 10. So come out to J-Town to check it out this Saturday, the 18th.
So you and five really funny people.
Yeah.
So are you?
We're
do
gonna
you make 6 really funny people, or are you just there's 5 really funny people and you?
He's mildly entertaining.
I'm basically going to ride their coattails because I'm not funny whatsoever. So I'll just be there to get the rotten tomatoes and like rotten cabbages thrown at me.
You're a funny motherfucker.
I do what I can.
Yeah.
I do what I can.
And well, you got something to throw in.
yeah. I didn't know we were about to drop F-bombs on this.
No,
that's fine,
speak
completely
freely.
fine.
Yeah.
But also on top of that, to sit on as far as Stewart's ensemble that he's got coming up, Tony Thomas, owner of Max Dough's. Make
guy.
sure you say hello to him whenever you're there.
Great
Good
guy.
friend of mine. Fantastic. He's put together. He also runs Rec Bar as
that
well.
is-
Like he's
okay,
owner
okay.
of both venues. And I tell you what, the guy puts on next to nothing shows.
Well, and Tony runs on J-Town Beach or whatever, right? And then his wife has a salon. Same, like, I think he's just going to run all of
He
J-Town.
seems like a guy who would run a salon.
You know,
right?
Louisville being the big city, small town that it is, I bet between the 4 of us at this table, we probably know everyone in Louisville. And it's 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon, so do I. You know?
Kevin Hale.
And we're probably
Hale.
We're all
Why
going-
you gonna? You got to. The host is
6
Hale.
degrees to Kevin Hale.
Yeah.
There
Why
we
you
are.
got you throw bacon? Right. Wow.
We're all going to the danger
I'm like,
zone.
your last name isn't Bacon.
Hale. No.
Is it?
No.
You've gained a little weight, Kevin.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
If you were Kevin Bacon,
Oh.
you missed the joke.
I missed it.
It was a bad joke.
All right.
I'll work on it.
Topics for our trending news.
Here we
segment.
go.
One of the hot topics coming out of the White House.
We're
is,
jumping right into it.
I am going to go for the fences right away.
Let's do it.
The former Trump aide, Omorosa Newman,
Ponderosa?
who is
Condoleezza?
she was part of Celebrity Apprentice, right? That's how
Yes.
they. So
Yes.
she somehow was qualified to be part of the, the White House, the administration.
When you have a
I mean, it's
celebrity as
once again
president.
proving it's who you know, right?
Right.
All right. She
Like
had some
celebrity
issues.
nepotism, I
Yes,
guess.
she had some issues there. She got fired in a
Yeah.
sense by what was it, Kelly? But the fallout from that is that she recorded a lot of conversation.
Yeah.
She recorded her firing from with Kelly. And now there's supposedly a recording where Trump has used the N-word.
Yeah, possibly. Yes.
And not following it with please or or preceding it with my. So
Wait, are those 2 free passes?
those, I mean, those are you kind of if you said
dear
if
God.
you said in please, you can kind of get away with it. Or if you said my,
you might. Yeah.
you still get away with
Might
it.
get away with it.
Yeah, but
All right.
I don't. Based on what I'm hearing, he's not gonna get away with. Well,
I'm
We tore
imagining.
man's name off of a stadium over it, so obviously this is going to catch some heat.
Well,
ahead.
depending if it actually comes out, because as of now, it hasn't actually been heard by the public. So we are speculating. We don't want to, be
It's
giving
entirely
out fake.
possible it's gaslighting too, like somebody creating it.
Of course.
Because
So we don't want to be
there's
putting
not
out
shitty
fake
things.
news.
Yeah.
In other words,
Which
fake. It might be fake news.
and one thing I hate about the fake news thing is that's a very real problem, but it's perpetuated by somebody that's not very respected. But journalistic integrity has been in a decline for 20 years now.
We touched on that earlier in private conversation. I would love to bring that to the podcast here in a moment. But real briefly, I believe that when he might have used the N-word, because it is still like up in the air, I believe it probably
you're still black.
would have been preceded with house rather than my or please. But we'll see. He may have not wanted to have that house nigga around. And that's what happens when you have a house nigga in house.
well, I'm losing him. Why do I not have? Is your mic
I
off?
would say honestly and
turn it off.
openly that
Turn it.
for the people on panel, if you say the N-word, we're all adults here. I'm not gonna jump up into a frenzy that's absolutely juvenile. So we can stop like censoring ourselves. And anyone watching this podcast, black or otherwise, if you have a problem with anyone on panel saying it, you need to grow up. That's the bleeding heart bullshit that we don't get into here.
Right.
We keeps it
No,
real.
That's a good point. But what I can add to this, guys, is today during her presser, Sarah Sanders quotes says she can't guarantee there's no tape of Trump using the N-word.
That's a direct quote.
That's a quote.
I heard that earlier. That's a direct
she
quote.
Flat out is, she's not. She's not. They're not in denial mode. She's not. Because Trump was probably. He went on Twitter and just
Stewart
ripped
said
it.
it's in his vocabulary.
Yeah. So
Well, to hear something like that from Sarah Sanders, basically what that says is she agrees or knows that it's in his vocabulary and knows that it's a possibility, if not likely. So for her to say that, it's almost on a mission of guilt. Stop me if I'm wrong.
But what's insane is like she works for the administration. She's doing such a bad job at PR because she shouldn't be on record saying anything remotely close to that
Yeah, but-
if she's protecting it. But
well,
How
that,
could-
that brings up another
Well, here's
point.
the thing: if she's doing her job, guys, is she supposed to be doing it to protect people, or is she supposed to be giving the reporters, the press,
Honest, open answers.
Yeah, real
To their
information.
questions about what's going on in the White House.
Go
I
ahead.
think
Jump in.
she's just telling them what they want to hear.
Well, no, I don't
oh,
think.
that's
No,
not
that's
what
not
we're
what they
hearing.
want to
Entirely
hear.
different.
Yeah, she's telling
her
them what
what,
she's
what
being
survi-
told. to
what
say.
she survives upon.
You're supposed to she works for the administration. She's supposed to paint it in a positive light as necessary.
Right.
I'm not saying that's right or but that's what she's paid for.
Yeah, that is her
to
job.
paint-
She
paint
survives
that
upon
picture.
it.
Yeah, the best cliche I've heard about her is that she gets paid $150,000 a year to lie every fucking day.
She deserves more money.
to lie and
That's not an
apologize.
Do you
easy
know that
job.
number? Is that
That's
number
not an
accurate?
easy job.
Yeah, it's about
That's-
Yeah, she deserves more money.
So-
Because, as you said, like, she doesn't do her job that well. Look at that man's cabinet and the turnstile that it's been when it comes to, the people that he's had around him. For her to be doing as good as the job as she's doing, kudos to Sarah Sanders. And I wouldn't say that on any other front, but you can put up a fortress like, soundproofing around Donald Trump. It's still a hard job.
I would, and even if I were a virulent Trump supporter, I wouldn't remotely want to be responsible to speak for him on some of his indiscretions.
Right.
There's no good way to paint some of these pictures, and again, even if that were my platform, it's hard to apologize for certain things that you don't fully agree with.
Well, I know it's impossible for an administration to be totally open and honest, but it's getting to the point where, like, I'm sorry, I need a little bit more honesty from this administration when it comes to the commander-in-chief. As anyone that knows that's listened to this podcast, I'm not a Trump supporter and never have been in any way, shape, or form. But if he's our president, then this man has to be held accountable so he can actually, being the person he is, maybe transition to start becoming a better person, if that's possible. Man's 71 years old, so that probably won't happen.
Is he
but at least
71
be
years old?
held
Oh,
accountable.
yeah, he's early 70s. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes,
real
sir.
life?
Our
Holy
president.
shit, money can
Yes,
keep
sir.
you alive. Magic Johnson's like 60.
Yeah,
62,
money,
69,
and money
something like
had kept him alive, actually.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
he like
He
HIV
beat
free
AIDS.
now
He
or
beat
whatever?
AIDS with- no, it's
So-
not AIDS. He
Well,
beat AIDS with
oh,
money.
yeah.
He got that $100,000 cash injection.
Yeah.
A South Park
Yeah.
reference for the people that don't know. But
yeah, that's right.
it's sad that it's come to this. And there was this statistic talked about on John Oliver this week that 49% of the country apparently thinks he's racist. I think that number is far, far lower than like what's being said right now. But for this to actually like come out, for it to actually be an issue, I think it kind of confirms a lot of people's suspicions about our president.
Well, you know what it also confirms? That we live in a very racist nation.
Oh, that's been
Because,
evident.
well, no, I mean that's been a given. But this administration empowers it.
Yep.
It enables it.
Yep.
You know, white is right, black, and every other color is black, and that's
The whole entire mantra of "Make America Great Again," and I'm
It is. I
the
mean,
100,000th person to say this. It just implies that the white America, the white man's America, should be brought
his
back.
core base, you know, have a favorable impression now of Russia.
It doesn't happen overnight.
It makes no sense.
You can't do it overnight. Period, point
Last
blank.
week on Bill Maher, we had mentioned the individual. His name escapes me right now. I talked about in the segment that was lost into the ether last week.
Steve Schmidt.
Steve
the
Schmidt, yes.
GOP guy.
Yes.
Strategist.
Yeah, former GOP strategist. He just said it so eloquently. When people just start believing what a leader tells them, no matter what, and the truth can be staring you right in the face, and it doesn't matter because what the leader says is the truth and it's gold. These are how people get put in ovens. These are how like atrocities happen.
One of his last rallies, you know, to the white folk was that he said something on, I'm paraphrasing here, that you're going to see and hear a lot of things that is totally, you know, not right.
And what's with the rallies? Me and Casey were having a conversation on George Jr. Earlier this evening.
George Jr.
And
George W.
George W. Jr. Sorry.
45? 45. Or no, 40. 43?
Matt's not your strong point. Let's just go with
Yeah,
George W.
yeah.
Yeah.
So George W. Jr., we had a
younger
conversation
one.
on him, and as much backlash as he got after the 9/11 fallout and things of that nature, and how we responded, never did you see this man holding rally after rally after rally, trying to fire people up behind the bad choices that we made after 9/11. Never did you see that. Now, this man that we have in office right now, he is content, and like he's sure firing on Twitter every chance he gets to rally up people that are bigots. There's no in outs around it. When we mentioned LeBron James off mic earlier,
Yeah.
why do you go after someone that's doing something great for a community and disrespect him by calling him a dumb individual that makes Don Lemon the dumbest individual you know look smart? There's no point in that other than to rile up bigots. There's no good that can come from a statement like that. George W. Jr., as many people that hated him, if LeBron James had done something like this, he would have been like, it's great that LeBron James did this. And he would have said it in a mic, open to people, not blasting it, not saying it through Twitter. It's the equivalent of sending a text message that says, I love you, like, or a text message proposal, rather than saying it to your future fiance. It's appalling.
To me, there's so many things that are hard. If I was raised conservative, and I'm conservative in a lot of ways, nobody really knows how, but I didn't vote for Trump specifically. I think maybe it's a little bit of gaslighting if you think that he's trying to accomplish something on a broader scale as far as when you reference what you referenced earlier with the hate speech and the like almost a Holocaust type.
The man called into Alex to talk with Alex Jones before he was elected. Does that not scare you? What is Alex Jones other than a warmonger of like conspiracy theories, division, and hate? So there's a reason he's not on any major media platform anymore.
Yeah, and I'm asking out of curiosity, like I'm starting the conversation playing devil's advocate. If Donald is this terrible person, what's the end game? So what does he hope to accomplish? And I'm asking you, like, out of curiosity. I want to know if he had his way and everything he did was effective, what do you think he hopes to accomplish before he dies?
Power.
I didn't know he's 71.
Power. Limitless power.
Hungry?
Power. Yes. When he looks when he
power,
champions-
but
how much more power do you need when you're a billionaire?
If he is in debt to Russia or something, then he's playing.
He's going to take a different avenue.
He's going to be playing a game like, to help benefit Russia and get himself out of trouble. But like basically when it comes down to it, he wants more power. And when you're the president of the United States, billionaires want more power. There's a guy sitting in Dubai right now that has fuck you money in comparison to anyone like Donald Trump knows. But guess what? He wants more. These people get to these places of power because they want more. They want infinite power.
So
they want to snap their fingers and a country will collapse if it comes
Long-term
down
power.
to it.
I mean, because
long game power.
Putin. How long has he been in?
Well, he has long-term power.
Yeah, he's right.
He wasn't president, and then he just made himself president
Yeah,
again.
so-
Why would
I
you
have close friends
champion
in Russia.
dictators? Why would you champion like certain people in countries that don't have the rights that we have? Why would you say like Putin cares about his people and he's a
Well,
great
the Cold
man?
War
Why
was
would you-
all about.
Why would you say that about
Kim Jong.
Kim Jong-il? Well, why would you say that about the leader of North Korea? Why would you champion him? That's not politicking. That's not like sitting down the table trying to make a better world. That's catering to someone that has total power over their people, and you would love to have that same power.
So what do you think about the conversation that he had that created the first real conversation with Korea about is it all just a show?
Okay, yes,
It was
yes,
more.
it is a
It
show.
was more of a show for North Korea, though. I think it was
Yes,
a propaganda moment.
Their
for them.
nuclear ground testing area started to collapse, like a mountain caved in,
Right.
to where it's almost like unusable, and they have to think of another way to do it. Therefore, when you tell the U.S., hey, we're going to stop nuclear testing, guess what? You're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So, hey, it looks good on this scale. Like, hey, we just threw the U.S. a tidbit. And guess what, Donald? In our private meeting, I'll tell you, you can tell your people this, and your base will love it, and the people that are against you or denounce you will have to accept it. But when it comes down to it, it was going to stop anyway, at least for 5 to 10 years.
Probably.
Because there's nowhere for them to test anymore. These are facts.
You have to admit, it does look good to be able to be like, hey, I had this conversation nobody had, and now we have a disarmament from a country we consider hostile. So it was a great marketing move.
It's a phenomenal marketing move, but I'm talking about the betterment of our country, the world, and our people.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about pulling the wool over their eyes to make yourself look better when you're a miserable individual. I know you're playing devil's advocate, and we're having a conversation. I'm a passionate person, so I'm going to speak passionately.
No,
I'm
I
not
got you.
angry whatsoever. I'm not looking at you like I'm talking to the guy that supports
If you
Trump.
know Stewart, he's going to speak passionately.
No, I'm going to speak with my heart.
But he's going to speak with his heart.
I just
You're
wanna
right.
be clear.
There's no doubt about that.
But I feel like the veil's being pulled over certain people's eyes, and it gives certain people that back him talking points when he says stuff like this. As I said earlier,
Well, that's why I asked the question, because I wanted you to defend that, because
of course.
that's something posed to me a lot, and
Right.
I don't have a good answer. I'm not a Trump supporter.
well,
I didn't
there
vote
you go.
for him. I voted for Gary Johnson for a very different reason.
Right.
But
There you go. Well, I mentioned to you earlier when it comes to lost my train of thought. Go, Kevin.
Well,
Got a little too ranted out.
well, let's move on. I got
Okay.
I got one more last Trump thing, and then I've got some other non-political stuff to throw at you.
Fair enough.
can we talk about Tom Brady already?
We can. We'll work TB12 into
Working
the
some
mix.
fantasy football.
What's your take on churches, pastors who are so supportive of Trump? A dude that's been married 3 times, cheated on all 3.
Yep.
The shit he says.
Grab by the pussy.
Yeah, still. And at a pastor, this was a pastor at one of his rallies, asked God
Good Lord.
to protect president from jungle journalism. I
Yes,
mean,
yes,
the
I've heard that.
whole
I heard that
fucking-
quote
Wait,
last
that's
year.
a thing?
Yes,
I've not heard about it.
That's an exact quote. He said jungle journalism.
Yeah.
Now, like, I don't know if that has a racial connotation to it or not, but
Oh, it sounds like your PR person definitely wouldn't want you saying that.
No, I'm going.
I assume- I would like to
you're
assume it's
saying-
something else.
What is my take on that? As far as
The whole church.
what's his
support-
religion? What are her? What was his beliefs?
He's a Protestant.
He's a Protestant. All right. So what are their beliefs?
Oh, my goodness.
Are they Catholic? Are they Baptist? Are they Protestant?
I don't
are
think,
they?
but-
Okay, here's the thing on
What
that.
are they?
That Donald Trump
Like, so
has
there's
never
a lot of
ended.
different beliefs that are going on there across the board.
Well, the fact of
So
the matter
there's
is,
no
Donald,
right answer to that question. To be honest.
Hold on.
Stewart has a response. Donald
Of
Trump
course.
never claimed himself to be
Imagine
a
that.
religious person by any means. He was never like anti-abortion. He was never about any of these religious beliefs, as nowhere near to the degree of his vice president. But when you start running for office, you start telling people what they want to hear, and it kills me. I'm a staunch atheist, and it's for reasons like this, that the hypocrisy that happens. You can make excuse for a man who, if you're Catholic, I'm sorry, he should be burning in hell. If you're Protestant, if you're a true Christian, man should be burning in hell.
Yeah.
You know, but you can make excuses for him on every single front, and these are the same people that lined up to talk against Bill Clinton when he got a blowjob. These are the same people that lined up to talk against Barack Obama, claiming he was a Muslim, and believed that we wanted to see his birth certificate, a rumor perpetuated by our current president. These are facts. But these good Christians will back this man. This blows my mind.
Yeah.
It goes back to that leader mentality. You want to fall in line like sheep. And when you have people that claim to be holy men, people of virtue, people that have moral standard, and they back this man, and it's okay. It's all right. Well, we'll pray for him, or God's behind him, or he has our beliefs in mind. It's blatantly obvious that he doesn't. It's blatant, and it kills me. These people line up. They line up to the trough.
The trough.
How do you?
They're contented pigs.
You bring up
They
a
are
point.
contented
Drop
pigs.
mic.
As Socrates
Mic
would
drop,
say,
mic
they are
drop, yeah.
contented pigs.
Well, in all sincerity, you bring up something that I hadn't really fully thought about, because it didn't. At some point, you just give up. You can't affect a change. You're not in a position to. But you bring up that, and I think I was raised very religious, and there's no real good explanation, because there's a lot of behavior that does not fall in line with 89% of the supporters.
Well, I could tell you something.
If it's
a
an
big reason
Illuminati, I don't
behind
want to hear it.
It's a big reason behind it.
Why?
This is the fallback when you have a black president. They'll jump behind any staunch.
Well, and I was going to bring that up. Like, it was a blowback from hey, Barack, and it was just literally
Barack Hussein Obama was our president. I can't believe it. Oh, Donald Trump's running, man.
So it's the same way,
everything he
but
has
it's the
to
same
say.
way he got elected, because I don't think he was the best candidate the first year he got elected, in my opinion. But you created a thing where you made people vote that would not normally vote, and you suddenly had an extra 8 million voters.
No.
And then, like, the Trump thing was a blowback from that. You had 8 million people that weren't only going to vote, that were voting.
Okay, that's very untrue. If there's one thing that like staunch old white people do is they show up to the polls. We all know that. We've known that for years. When you put out perpetrated like stories and fake news about Hillary Clinton being a crook and things of that nature, when you know you have a battle between two candidates in the Democratic Party, between her and Bernie Sanders, and because of super PACs, she gets the nomination, there are going to be a lot of people that felt disenfranchised because they thought they were behind the better candidate. Therefore, when you create that discourse, there's going to be a lot of people that sit back at home. When Barack Obama brought people out to the polls, it was minorities that felt disenfranchised for years, because this country was built on disenfranchising minorities. And this even goes back to whether you were Italian, Irish, Black, Latino, doesn't matter, across the board. A lot of people came out when Barack Obama got elected for that reason. Now, Donald Trump, on the other hand,
You had disenfranchised white Republicans that came out then.
He
Right
divided
or
a
not.
party. He helped divide a party. And then a lot of people were like, well, I won't go. And what he did was fire up that white base that always showed out to the polls. And then you had podunk
The
people
same
with no
people
teeth
that threw
who
tea
showing
into the
out.
river when they you got the Boston Tea Party. You created a rage. That was right. But I'm saying it's the same mentality of take back what they think is theirs. I'm not saying what's right or wrong, right?
Did you just compare this to the Boston Tea Party?
No, I compared the type of people. When you're talking about Trump supporters, which are original white Protestants that came across.
Okay, if you're going back to, you know what I'm saying,
What's a cultural thing that exists?
birth of the nation, you know what I'm saying, then, you know, those are total apples and oranges. When you fire up people that are bigots and felt that there was never a bigot like them, when you have someone like David Duke supporting you and the people that are behind him, and when you are directly asked about the man, you act as if you don't know who he is or anything about him. Right. You actually give him a quiet endorsement. Mm-hmm. That raises like the alt-right. Mm-hmm. That is not good people that you, oh man, it's fine. We have someone that represents us. Let's go to the polls and make it a better country. These are people like, oh man, we got someone that represents us. We need to make it a bigger country. Make it great again.
I love the different accents because they're perfect.
Well, I mean, it's a representation of like
Comedian.
people who are truly behind him.
He's a comedian on the side.
If it wasn't for the pull that he had through business and whatnot, there'd be more Republicans that were up to like call him out. But with this tax break that he's put out, guess what? Corporations love Donald Trump. And the disenfranchised people are like, man, he's created more jobs at Walmart, at fucking Walmart. He hasn't created more like 5-6 figure jobs, you know what I'm saying, for the common man. But all these disenfranchised millionaires, now they see this man's going to be behind us and I'm going to have money too, just like him. It's not going to be the case. In about 3 years, when people are giving him props for what's going on right now with the economy, which when it comes to policy, it takes 3 or 4 years to actually take place. When people are giving him props for what he's done in 3 or 4 years, we'll see the fallout of it. They can act as if they're reaping the benefits right now because Walmart's hiring for $11 an hour. I'm on fire tonight.
He
by the way.
is. He's on
He's not joking
around tonight. It's been
He's
the
not joking
Stew
around.
Askew.
Well, I apologize.
No,
I apologize to the audience.
whole-
It's been kind of anti-Trump, but I hope my points are at least.
All right, let's
We call him
I've got two-
STE.
Yeah, I've got 2 more topics, and then we'll shut it down because we're already almost 30 minutes into this.
Good Lord.
And they're non-political. I wanted we got Kim still here. I wanted my daughter Haley. I wanted them to come up because I had a couple questions that or topics that I wanted kind of female
they have
input.
a real-
It would have been, but
We have a female over
we have
here.
one. You could chime in. Just come over here.
Get in here.
Yeah, I don't have a female accent, so like you got to come over here. I don't have any female voices.
He's got old racist white guy down pat.
Yeah, the tracheotomy took away all the high voices.
Well,
You can do a female accent.
Do I need to move?
I'm not even going to try.
so here's one.
We're going to have fun.
Apple. All of us have Apple phones. They were
What a
they-
segue.
Yeah, well, it's, like I said, I wanted to get away from politics. FaceTime is a big feature with the iPhone. It's the reason why I left Android, got on iPhone. Because
I thought about
of
doing the
kids.
same thing. I want to be a unicorn or a dragon when I talk to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah.
So awesome.
Yeah. But it was mean to communicate with my
Or bunny rabbit.
family, kiddos, grandkids too.
Android text
But
carrier. But
here's
anyway.
one thing I have to ask. Now, the FaceTime feature is pretty cool. But Apple announced that they were going to enhance that feature of FaceTime to enable you to have up to 32 people at the same time on a FaceTime call. And at first, well, here's the thing. First reaction is
video
like,
chat.
wow, that's pretty amazing. 32 people. But my next reaction is like, who the fuck has 32 people that you would actually want on a conversation? I mean, seriously.
Corporation conference call?
Maybe, I don't know.
We're
I mean, that's
struggling
what.
with 4
But
right now.
that was my take. Is it more business? But no, this is it's not. It's it's part of a release, iOS 12 or whatever release. But
Would it
yeah.
be like 32 people, but you can use like the little dragons and like the unicorns? So it's like you would have a bunch of cartoon characters talking to one another?
No.
That would be awesome.
Now,
This
like for
cavalcade
me,
of like...
now, you've got family. You can have up to, for me, it'd be multiple would be kind of cool. But the notion that you have to have 32,
Is that like a family reunion over the internet?
I don't know.
Is that was like everybody like gets their
know,
own
'cause
emoji and like everybody's like,
I'm
hey,
curious
what are you
from
gonna
a-
be
from a
today?
female
What am I
perspective.
gonna be today?
Right.
And like everybody
Well,
dial in.
well,
like, you're gonna be this.
it's
I'm gonna be that.
It's,
and then
take
everybody
take the
log
emoji and
in.
all the filters out of the way. It's still a means to, a video conversation.
I gotta have the
so
emojis.
No
I want,
filters, Stewart's out.
yeah, I want to
Like bunnies and turtles
as
and
a female.
dragons,
Do you
unicorns.
would you consider? I mean, I don't.
I don't know the
I mean, I
the
don't really
purpose
know why
behind
we
it.
would want to, but I mean, my concern is, does everybody know that all 32 people are on? Can you hide
Oh,
someone's identity?
that's a
Yeah, I don't want to talk to Aunt Leslie.
How does that screen
Like,
look?
Aunt
Is it
Leslie,
like
I'm just gonna
32
ixnay her.
boxes or 31 boxes?
I think
Here's
when
right
the
here.
person
If you take a
speaking-
quick peek, look. So this is like this would be what
Whoever's
32.
speaking actively is
That's
going to
fine.
come up to the forefront.
I think,
It
yeah,
protects
it is. Right.
similar to what I'm doing.
So yeah, it's like whoever's talking, their image gets. But
See,
yeah,
just take
I think
out
it's like
the
it's
people
like
you don't
fucking
like.
32 Brady Bunch things.
So when I was talking earlier, it'd be like this little dragon ranting, like for like.
But if
15
you
minutes.
don't like someone, then you just ixnay them and like, you know
Well,
what,
yeah,
you're
I
just
mean,
like
you're-
down
you're
for my
right,
feed,
but-
and I get to know the rest of the people.
I can't see that well to know everybody that's on the screen.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So I guess
Well,
go back to the
my
question.
last point on that, I'll say, if they have 32 different emojis, yes, I'm still on it. That would be awesome. So you could be all 32 different animals.
You're into
like
cosplay,
talking.
aren't you?
Oh, no, not really.
All right, last one. Topic is it ever okay to check your partner's phone? Partner. Marriage therapists weigh in a survey. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 5 men admitted to doing so. Are you one of those 1 in 4 that
Never done it.
you've never done it?
Never done it.
It's a 90-minute conversation, and you just bring it up now.
yeah,
'Cause
Yeah, you should have
gets
led with
into-
this.
This,
Well,
gets into
this is the
staples.
conversation. You only get the tip. You're not getting
Like,
the
I
full
just
thing.
right
I
for
grabbed
comedy right
the
here.
mic because wanted
What's
to
that?
one
It's
answer
only
to
the
this
half
one.
man maker.
So
I've intentionally left my phone like at a girlfriend's house. Actually, it wasn't intentional, but the unlock was intentional. And, I'd have nothing to hide, so it's like, go through my phone. Now it's got a lock on it, though.
now it's got a lock.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with the
But I'm single, so.
yeah
Ladies.
calculator app?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with? You know what that is?
I can spell boobless. What?
No.
Oh.
There's a calculator app where
It's a
it's
messaging app that's
well,
disguised
you,
as a calculator.
well, it's disguised as a calculator, but no, you store pictures. You could store private
Oh,
pictures.
they have
in
those
it.
for all
Yeah.
types of things.
Yeah,
My
What do you-
grinder
what
is
do you
under
mean-
that.
What do you mean by private pictures?
Well, the grinder joke went right over.
There,
my head.
actually,
That's
at this
fine.
point, I've got one. Never mind. But anyway,
She's right there.
so 1 in
within
4.
earshot.
They said 1 in 4 women, and you say you haven't.
Nope.
You really have not.
Nope.
Have you had the urge?
Nope.
So you never checked anybody's email history. You never been like.
Well, okay.
Uh-oh.
No,
You're like
before
25,
cell phones,
26,
I checked,
and
I
26
checked
straight
emails,
years.
and I'm divorced. So.
Well,
if
let's stay this. Let's take email. This is about a phone. This is
right.
strictly
I just
phone.
wanted-
This is strictly like, hey, this beside the
phone is
phone,
my phone.
somebody's
is
taking
available.
a
It's
somebody's
not
taking a
cool.
poop,
It's not cool.
and then you pick up their phone while they're taking a poop.
But clearly,
and
if
then
you
you decide to check it or you don't check it.
look at someone's phone, then
There's a
you
problem.
have
There's a
there's a
problem.
problem.
You don't
There's an
belong
issue.
together.
You probably don't
Yeah.
belong together.
Old man Askew agrees. If you gotta look through someone's phone,
Hashtag team
there's-
single. I can stay gone a week and I have 0 text messages and it's fan-fucking-tastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As we say, if you never lie, you never have to remember anything, right, guys?
Wow, I
I've
never heard that. I love that.
Never
though.
lie.
Can
Never
you,
have to
hey,
remember anything.
we're definitely
I gotta
gonna
remember a
end
lot
this
of shit,
podcast.
man.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying.
well,
yeah,
here's
hey, Stu,
I'm
we,
joking.
here's
I'm
what
very
I can
honest.
tell you: as you
Stu,
get older,
we would have been killing it back in the
Yeah.
day if you would have been
well,
on
back in the
that kind
day,
of stuff.
back in the
like,
day,
gosh, damn,
I
we're
would
way,
have had to
we're way
remember
out of
shit
place.
back in the day. But at this point in my life, I have a bad memory to begin with. I think, yeah, probably
I mean, it's a sketch mind.
Yeah,
Well,
so
yeah,
Well, I'm just honest to a fault. So
yeah. I mean, it's like
it screwed
at
me
this
over
point,
more than it's helped me.
Full disclosure. I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
if you
just- it's-
if you look at my phone, then you obviously aren't sleeping on my couch tomorrow night
Why is she sleeping on the couch?
because I allowed her in the building.
Why
is she
Think
Rose-
about that.
One.
Think
Rose is
about.
all about
Think about.
the one and done.
Think about
One
that.
done.
Think about that. Like
Yeah.
if I allow you in my house, And then all of a sudden, now you're checking my phone. Like, the only reason I allow you in my house is because I trust you. If I don't trust you, why the hell am I allowing you in my house?
If you do trust them, why is she still sleeping on the couch if she's allowed in the house?
Yeah.
She's supposed to be.
Yeah, that's what I'm confused on.
Have you seen her yet?
Okay,
Oh,
fair enough.
good lord.
Oh, we're taking it a whole step.
Well, I'll say this much. It's just never.
Go
My
ahead.
bad.
You had one more comment.
If you just don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
Oh,
Oh,
no. I think it's more like you should be able to
She's
trust the
right.
person you're with, and you
Correct,
shouldn't
right.
invade someone's privacy because you
Correct.
wouldn't want yours invaded. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well-
Because her phone could be sitting in front of me like wide open, and she goes to the bathroom after talking to someone. I'm not going to be like, well, since she's in the bathroom, I'm going to be like, no, because she did that to me. I'd be like, that's kind of fucked up. You know?
Well,
Not that I have
if
anything-
you're at that point, yeah, it's already fucked up.
I want to say facetiously that like I did not mean that the wholehearted way.
This man-
But at the same time, like
Every female
like,
that's heard this
Rejection.
podcast
Women.
is over for you.
game recognized game.
Good lord.
Just be awesome at life.
Yeah, we
I
can
mean,
get behind.
it's-
We can
it-
get
it-
Adam for the people. Dog catcher for president.
It basically comes down to insecurity. I mean, it's a lot of it, right?
well,
Yeah, there you go.
Are you getting ready to
Oh,
rap?
I'm not
What's going on
Yeah,
here?
that's
There's no
that's-
insecurity whatsoever. Yeah, no,
Where's my phone?
No, I agree with you on
I
that,
don't-
Kevin. It does stem off insecurity. And people were
She
worried
can't find
about
her
that.
phone.
but
Do you have it?
Get secure with yourself before you try to get with someone else and check their phone.
It's just I'm tired of like I don't have the effort or the like I don't want to have to
It's- yeah,
police
again,
or
it's-
investigate somebody
Right, it's-
constantly. I have no
But
desire
I
to
think
be a part of
everybody
that.
needs to lock their phone.
Oh, mine's
yeah,
mine's
because-
locked because if someone picks it up, it's like, well,
I
it's
shouldn't
locked.
have to.
might not
I
steal
shouldn't
it.
have to lock
Stuart,
it.
if,
Yeah,
if,
you should
just-
if Stewart finds my
shouldn't
phone,
have
he's
to.
going to
But
send out
no,
all
but there's
the
what's
pictures.
now what your reason for
Instagram.
locking it is just
I don't want my stuff stolen.
Oh, I thought you
Yeah,
were going to say to
security.
my
If
laptop.
Everybody's phone should be locked. I assume that your phone is locked. There's no reason for me to try and pick it up and look at it. I'm going to assume your phone
or
is
how
locked.
is it now where you can
I
if,
feel like-
if your phone is locked but you know and you're sleeping and your girlfriend like has your phone
Oh my
and then
God.
and then does this, give me your hand, it's like
Hey, put your thumb up.
I just shouldn't have to lock it toward my significant other. How about that?
I have a question.
I don't want
Maybe
to
she's
with the
insignificant.
lock it towards my
with the face
significant other.
unlock. With the face unlock, could you
It's
get your
fake,
partner
yeah.
while they're sleeping
It's-
and
well
unlock it?
I'm guessing
No, you can do it with the- you can do it with the
wouldn't
photo.
the eyes
you can
had
do it with
something?
a photo.
You can do it
It's
with the
actually
photo?
very. It doesn't have any like it lacks security features because you can actually unlock with a photo of somebody
Oh, wow.
on certain phones, depending on the build of Android or iPhone. You can unlock with a photo, so it's not the most secure way. It's cool. It's the nuance is interesting.
Well, see, I have a small dog. I'm just gonna get one of those and carry her around with me, and she'll be the unlock. So unless someone has my
that's
dog
a-
in hand, boom, my
Genius,
phone
man.
stays locked.
So
You know,
and that's the same thing. I saw
or your dog's paw.
there you go.
No, there was a commercial. I forget what it was. I think it was a college humor thing, maybe. And this girl was trying to get her boyfriend. He was asleep, and it was a video of her trying to get him to like scan his fingerprint. And then she just gets frustrated because it doesn't work, and sets it down, and walks out, and he sits up, and then he uses his toe print to scan into the phone.
Yeah, I've seen that. That's
Genius. That's awesome.
yeah.
That's an operator right there.
He's doing something wrong. He's doing something shady.
Yeah, right.
He's got his
Yeah,
toe
that's
on
a
the
little
phone.
sketchy.
If you got your toe on the phone, you're definitely doing something scandalous.
But it's smart as fuck, and maybe one day he'll be president.
Take it easy with the toes.
One day he'd be proud.
Hey, if he
There you
gets his
go.
own celebrity TV show, it's a possibility. Hey, for all we know, The Rock might be our next president, from what I hear.
I've heard that.
Speaking of The Rock,
get some
or
he gets
Oprah.
some-
real briefly before this ends, speaking of The Rock,
Him and Elizabeth Warren had a little love fest on Twitter the other day, by the way.
has
But-
anyone looked at his filmography? I don't think he's ever been in a good movie. I looked at it the other day.
Good? Really? You don't think?
Okay, I don't count Fast and Furious movies. Sorry,
No,
they're
that-
not good.
that-
They're schlock.
Yeah,
Hey,
I'm
Think about it.
trying to
Think about it.
If you wanna look-
Doom, Jumanji,
No.
come on now. I mean,
Rundown. You remember the Rundown?
The
I
very-
actually like the Rundown.
I've got
The
one
Rundown?
suggestion for
That
you.
was with Sean Williams.
Okay.
You know who I'm talking about. That was,
Okay.
but that was like rock.
I mean, you got
Palooza.
passable movies.
Yeah,
but,
but they're
no.
not. No, they're not blockbusters.
I had an in-depth intellectual movie you'll appreciate, and you're going to laugh at me until you watch it. But if you think about social structure in high school and growing up and the evolution of who all of us are today, watch Jumanji and think about it on a deeper level.
Watch Jumanji.
I know it sounds insane when I say it.
It does sound insane when you say it.
Okay, well,
Very
do it.
much.
Do it, and then let's talk about it next week.
All right, there you go.
Actually, I got one more to throw at you guys. One more.
Go
and it's
slide
like,
it in.
Curveball?
What's your take with the whole this whole Drake thing. His song, what is it?
Kiki.
And people.
Do you spell
all
K-I or
these-
K-I or K-E-K? You're the black guy, so you
K-I,
gotta
right?
know.
Okay, Captain Racist. Yeah, make America great again. The last week, this was brought up in our Lost segment into the Cosmos.
Yeah.
I had no clue.
I
I'm
remember
obviously
you said
old
that.
and out of touch. I had no clue what this was, and like seeing videos, it's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in my life. If you want a meme, like if you want a plank, go back to the old school, like when memes first became a thing. I get it.
I could've
When you're
done without
jumping
you
out of a
bringing up
moving
planking
car
ever
to
again.
like look cool and be like in the
You're
in swing,
dancing and you're doing all, yeah.
I'm old.
And, you know,
Somebody done it out of a
and
Humvee
and I
in
have
the
to
U.S.
admit,
military.
I'm rooting for the pavement. I'm rooting for another car to partake.
Apparently, there are a lot of videos where they fail.
Yeah, there is fail, yeah.
The best videos in the whole things are when people like if I was the guy and the girl jumped out to the side and then or man, him, her, here,
drive
whatever,
off and
and
save
then
your
just
credit
be
score.
like, get them going and then just stop. And then,
Then they
the
go
door,
flying
then
into the
they
door.
roll
I've
into the
seen
door.
those, yeah.
Like that is like the most. That's
Well,
funniest,
that will
that's
go
the funniest
viral,
thing
too.
ever.
That's
I'm like,
just-
man, you're
But-
instantly
But
number.
but here's what I guess what I'm getting.
So
at
that's
is that
where I
This
stand
is
on it.
another one of those things where, why you use the word cheap. I mean, it's just people just why do people?
It's the equivalent of eating Tide Pods. You know what I'm saying?
It's the worst version of groupthink ever.
God damn.
Yes.
If you know the deeper what groupthink is, it's the worst. It's a more like insipid version of it.
I really hate social media.
I was talking to someone
You're
our
on
age.
social media
You know
right
what I'm saying?
No, I hate it. I still hate it.
Or I
You know,
should say
Podcasts or
someone.
social media.
I use it, but I do not. There's a lot of stupid people, stupid things out there. And for the record, people, if you do anything on social media, someone else has already done it.
Yep.
You're
not original.
You're not original. Actually, the odds are probably greater or less or better for you to win the lottery than you doing something original out there.
So what you're saying is, instead of listening to this podcast, you should be out at Baxter's right now, listening to this
Listen
show.
to me. So
and
we're
hanging
getting
out
ready to
with
shut
us.
it down. So check out our man Kevin Cummings, who is the music act of the night here. Yeah,
One of the most talented men in Louisville,
Yeah,
without
I
question.
hear him in the background.
he is. So guys,
We got to get out of here and go Kiki, man.
go keep.
Yeah.
Last thought. You again.
Do you love
got
me?
your
At McDo's this Saturday, McDo's House this Saturday, the 18th. Show starts in around 10. A lot of funny people and myself riding on their coattails. So come, bring some Rotten Tomatoes and cabbage to throw at me, and come to support local comedy, regional comedy, and comedy in general.
Amazing pizza.
On top of that,
Amazing
say
pizza
hello
also.
to Tony Thomas, owner of the business Rec Bar and McDo's House.
McDo's House.
all right,
Mac
guys.
House. What is it? Mac House?
Good spirited segment
Max
that was
Doe's house.
you
Mac
know,
House.
it was
Max
featured
McDo's
Stewart
House.
Askew,
That's
but
hard to
that's
say.
all good.
I want to apologize to the audience for the
apology.
mega rants. I'm not really sorry. But if I offended anyone, then take off that MAGA hat. It might as well be a schmegma hat. I'm sorry.
Oh God, you
It's
went-
going everywhere now.
yeah. Oh,
Peace out.
it's a double